Hi, and welcome to episode number 24 of Discovering DataFlex with me, Johan Brodfeldt. This is the third in a series of videos on how to build a conference app. And we started out in the first one with building the framework with wizards. And in the second video, we made the different views we have created work together, because the wizards cannot do everything, so we need to do some maintenance to get it all to work. And in this last video, we're going to do some last changes on the layout and style of the application, so it will be production ready. So let's dive in. We're going to start with the attendees, and here we have a rather nasty view, but we have the elements we want to use, and here we have the list. So I want to start by modifying this edit view here, and that's in the zoom view. Stop the application and I can look at this. So basically what I can do is I can drag and drop and say I want this one in top, and then I want the button right there, and it could be as big as this one, and I want the height to be 400 or perhaps even more. Then this one could be 3. Move this one after. So I basically just modify this so that it fits my preference. And then I want to add some more fields because we missed some of them. Speaker attendee, about, and pin. We're not going to use pin, but let's add them anyway. And the attendee and the speaker are actually should be checkboxes. There's the pin and the about. So the properties of the about, we might want to set height to be 100 or something. Well, let's set it to 300. So we can enter something here. And this one should actually be a checkbox. So if we double click on it, we get it to the code. Attendee. And if you look here, you have the checkbox, web checkbox. So web checkbox, and we're going to use that on speaker as well. But the thing is, with checkboxes you don't get labels, so we need to go into the attendee and set the show label to true, and the same goes for speaker. So now we have the labels. I also want the speaker to be disabled, so enable should be false, so that it does not, so you cannot save it in the interface, because that is done automatically when you assign a talk to an attendee. Then the attendee becomes a speaker. So, and the attendee, I would like the attendee to be set as default. And in order to do that, I need to go into the data dictionary and actually add a procedure here. Let's see if I can find that code. So there is a procedure called field defaults, and we need to forward send that so DataFlex can do its things. And then we set the field changed value of field attendee to 1. This means that as default this will be set to 1, so the checkbox will be checked. So let's see what this does when we run the application. Now it looks a lot nicer. We could basically use this, and if I click edit, then I can edit this view, and I cannot do this. And if I click new, the attendee is pre-selected. But you can see here the attendee, I'm not an attendee, but the rest of the guys are. So we want to do some tricks with the when you're logged in and when you're not logged in. So let's start by looking at the login functionality. Right now we don't know if we're logged in or logged out, so let's start with the menu. So we have this on change rights in the menu object, and here we can basically set render sign in and hide sign out. And if we are logged in, then we hide the sign in button and render the sign out. So this button here, this property here is very useful, and we want to use that in the attendee zoom as well, but we're going to do some more stuff to this one, because we're going to add a HTML box. Have to stop this, and we want to add it, just add it in the bottom here. This is the pin, yep. So let's put it right here. Class HTML box, web styled content, perhaps. No, we just call it styled content. So what we can do now is we can, in this render, we have the navigate forward, and that's calling set action buttons. So we get in here, and this one is deciding if some stuff are going to be shown or not. But we might just do this with the entire view. So we have all of these we want to set to false. Only the styled content we want to have shown when you go into the view, and all the form fields should be hidden. If we continue down here, we want to do the opposite of this. So we would like to show all the buttons and forms and hide the content, because now we are in edit mode. And we also want the login, so we want this boolean logged in. And we want to see if we are logged in. And if we are logged in, we want to be able to click the edit button. Otherwise, we don't even want to show the edit button. So that's why we put this here. And what we want to do now is when we have clicked the save, if we're in here, we click edit and we click save, we end up out in the list again. So we would like to not do that for starters, and we would like to call this set action buttons again, but we want to set the read only to true, so that we do not get in and show everything, but we hide everything again and show the styled content. So how we do that is by calling the navigate data, and set the read only state to true and send it back, and then we call the set action buttons. So now we should be able to switch between back and forth on that one. Let's see how that works. Attendees. Yeah, now we have the HTML box, and I'm not logged in, so I need to log in. And if I click edit, I can edit. Speaker is disabled. And if I create edit and then I save, and I go back to this HTML box, and if I create a new one, then attendee is pre-filled as default yes. And now I created an empty one, so I want to delete this one. Let's delete this record. So now we are going to fill this HTML box with some content. And the way we do that is we need some strings to play with. And then we start by setting the PS about. We change the new lines to BR, so we get HTML new lines, and then we create an HTML string with the first name and last name, company. We create a clickable main to link and the URL to the web page. We also make that clickable, and then we show the about. And when the PS HTML got the content we want, we just update the HTML of O-styled content, which is the object we added in the end here. So it will update this with the content. And that's good because when we do the save, and after we have saved, we go back in here and we update the content again, so we can directly see what changes we made in the interface. So let's try that. Now we have these here, and I can do here and do some more changes and save. And I go back here to this view. Now I would like the name here. I would like, instead of attendee Zoom, I would like it to say Johan Brodfeld and attendees. And if I click here to add new, I would like it to say add attendee, for example. And the way we do that is in the select. we can change the select to attendees, and on row click we basically add let's see, we add this line called caption, PS caption of attendee zoom, and this will change the PS caption of the attendee zoom object before we go into it. So when I click a row, for example Johan Brodfeldt, it will take the first name and last name of Johan Brodfeldt and set it as title for, as caption for attendee zoom. And I also want to do this in the new button, but instead of name I want to use add attendee. There you go. And I also want another thing in this list, because as you could see Johan is not checked as attendee, so I would like to filter this list. So if I'm logged out, I should not see Johan, but if I'm logged in I should see. So let's see what we do there. We create a procedure on constraint, and we use the login check, and if we are logged in we do the attendee constraint on attendee equals 1. So if we're not logged in, make sure that we only show attendees that have attendee equals 1. So let's run and see if this works. It says attendees, and I am logged in, so I can see Johan, and it says Johan Brodfeldt, and if I click here it says add attendee. And if I log out, click attendees, then I do not have Johan Brodfeldt here. And if I click Nick, it says Nick, and I don't have the edit button. Should do the same for the add new, so you cannot add a new one. Doesn't make sense, but you shouldn't be able to do that in the outlogged state. Another thing I noticed is that the sorting of this list is not correct, and if I want to have sorted by the first column, for instance, I should actually set the PE sort column to 1, and the image column is the 01, and then we have the attendee first name is column 1. So if I want to sort by column attendee name, I should actually run like this, and then I have this sorted by attendee name. And the last thing I want to look at is actually changing the colors of this thing, because this particular conference we are hosting now is the Scanduc conference, and we have some blue color, some yellow color and red color. So I use a color picker to figure out the codes for those colors, and then I go into the CSS, and you would normally think that you go into the themes, because that is where you see the code is changed. If you look at the application, you can just press F12, and then if I click here, for instance, inspect, I can see that the blue color here is set in the themes CSS. But this is overwritten every time you upgrade to a newer version of DataFlex, so we won't put our own code in the application CSS. And if we're lazy, and I am right now, I'm just going to take the different codes. I have these color codes and I want to change them to these ones. So basically I take this, Control copy, Control H to replace, and replace with this, and we take replace all, and then we take this one, copy this one and replace all, and then we take this one and replace this one with that, replace all. And already now, if we refresh the application, perhaps we should run it. No. Okay, so we basically need to refresh this to make sure that the browser has it in the view. And now it looks like this, but I want this news to be in the yellow color. So I check what kind of class this one is using, and this is using light alternative. Let's see, yeah, and I go into the dashboard. Stop. I'll take a look at the dashboard, see what it says here. I'm going to create my own bright alternative, and then I go into the CSS light alternative, and then I'm going to create a new one called bright alternative dot tile dot web conciser. Basically just copy what it says here, and we want the background to be in our yellow color. I guess this is the one. So let's see if we can re-render this. Update. Perhaps we need to clear the cache or something. Yeah, let's try that. Application, clear site data, reload. Now we need to compile and run as well. Yeah, there it is. So now we have these colors, and now we would like to have a logo image right here. So let's go into the dashboard, and we add an web image, basically on top of the tiles group, perhaps. And this image, we need to add that to our workspace. Let's see. Where are we? DataFlex projects, conference app HTML images. So projects, scan deck. Now we take this image. This is the white image. We actually want to have a image with black text. and I have that in this one. So now we have a logo image, and then we should add that to this image, and we also want to make sure that the image is centered, and then we run it again. So now we have this logo type here. That's great. Now we also would like to have kind of a list of the latest news. And we could do that by adding a new group with the latest news. I'm just gonna paste some pre-made code in here to show you how that looks like. Main palette, that's the group there. Yeah, we want to put it here. So this is basically a web group where we have a label set, and then we have an HTML box that generates a default line, but when we have on load, it creates this line where you have a title and day and the news time, and you have a server on click with the row IDs so that you can have an event on click that figure out what row ID you're on and can navigate forward to that news item. And here we have, of course, a lot of errors because you cannot copy and paste code like that. And that is because we need to use the oNews web object. Now, cnews. Use news. Do we have a news package or something? No, that's not it. That's not it. It's the news zoom view that we're going to need in order for this to work. There you have. So if I go into news, I have a news. It should be shown here, but it's not, which means that I'm missing a piece on show down here perhaps. I actually need to update the group. Refresh latest news on latest news group, and this is a function we have here that does the refresh. So now let's see what happens if I run this. Okay, we have a bug on news TT, so we need to register that somehow. In the dashboard, we need to add the data dictionary for that, otherwise we cannot look it up. There you have it. Now we have brewery, and we can click and get directly into that news. So we will get a list of the 3 latest news right besides here. And if we press F12, it will get below. So you will have, you can click in here to get all the news, and you can see the latest news right here. You have the logo type, you have the colors, and you have the attendees, and you can see who you are in here, so you can go back and forth like that. And basically this is all I want to show you for this video and this tutorial. There are of course a lot of different views that need to be maintained, but it's basically the same thing you do in all views. So I hope this has been a valuable mini course in how to build a mobile application from scratch. And don't forget to subscribe. Bye for now.